Swivl Sessions, interviews with field service entrepreneurs. Get insights and strategies from those who took the leap and risked it all to start their own home service companies. Don't really know where to start with this last session. One of the best ones we've had, Ben Alexander, TradeWorks Consulting. Rob, what do you got?
Yeah, you're right. Not sure where to start. So we've not really talked to someone who's built up a multi-million-dollar business before and sold it. So technically, but he has got his new gig going, and it was a super interesting conversation. So, he's giving back to the community in a way by coaching smaller companies, entrepreneurs on jumpstarting their handyman business and maybe hopefully growing it up to the size of his old business that he sold. And yeah, it was really great to see the kind of insights that he was able to provide. My takeaway was as he coaches these new companies, what he likes to say is, don't scale chaos.
That's good. Yeah,
it was good.
He wanted to start companies not because he had to, but because he saw an opportunity. And I thought that was just a really, really good take on that. Seeing the new vertical in different directions to go, and that's how you grow, and not just growing from a business standpoint, but being fulfilled with helping these smaller companies from a consulting standpoint as well. Just an incredible person to talk to, and we enjoyed it. So
lots of fun.
Ben Alexander, TradeWorks Consulting. Enjoy it.
Welcome to Swivl Sessions, where we dive into the world of field service entrepreneurship. Now, before we get into today's interview, let's introduce the host you'll be hearing from. First, we have Edgar, our resident sales guru, so committed to his look that he only ever wears one pair of pants these days because he doesn't fit into any other one. But despite his signature uniform, his sales pitch is always perfect shape.
Thanks, Rob. That's, I think, kind of nice. Hey, Ben. I got the privilege of introducing Tyson, our resident customer service guru here at Swivl, and part-time expert in elevator avoidance. When Tyson's not dodging lifts like they're death traps, he's busy ensuring top-notch customer experiences, one step at a time. That's Tyson over there.
Stay out of those elevators, Ben. They'll get you, okay? Last but not least, it gives me great pride in introducing our fearless leader, who is literally just back from a trip to a very constructive business trip to India. We're a little concerned. He's channeling his inner Bhagwan Rajneesh, and we're hoping he doesn't turn Swivl into an ashram. But hey, welcome home, Rob. Good to have you back.
I don't know what that means.
Neither do I. We'll do
I gotta
definitions
Google
at
that.
the end.
You got to goggle it.
Let's get to the good stuff. Today we're excited to introduce Ben Alexander, CEO and founder of Hank's Handyman and TradeWorks Consulting, handyman service and consulting firm based in Rockwall, Texas. Both Hank's Handyman and TradeWorks offer a mix of both expert guidance to trade industries while also offering hands-on services. We really look forward to hearing all about Ben's journey to this unique version of entrepreneurship as both an industry expert and as a practitioner. So I guess I probably need to qualify that because we just figured out that you sold the handyman business, but you're still an expert, so we're going to roll with this one for sure. This is going to be a good conversation. So Ben, welcome to Swivl Sessions. It's great to have you here. How are things going over in Texas?
It's not as cold as it was last week, so sun's shining. It can be a bad day with that.
Same with us here in Georgia.
Yeah, we don't do
weather.
well in the cold here in Texas. We'll take 105 over 10 any day.
Ooh. So, Ben, so you had the handyman business and now the consulting business. Let's start off kind of like, what were you doing to get into the handyman business? What's your history, history?
Real quick here. I've been in home services one way or the other for 25 years. I went to a trade school. I might have been at 18, 19 years old. Went to trade school, learned HVAC. This is back in the day when I couldn't figure out what I wanted to be. So I went to the classifieds and the newspaper and noticed that there was a bunch of HVAC companies hiring. I was like, well, I'm mechanically inclined. Maybe I should learn how to do this. Seems to be a lot of job openings. So I went to trade school, and man, I worked in all different aspects of HVAC, indoor air quality, attic insulation, geothermal, new construction, remodeling, sales, service, maintenance techs, you name it. I've done all of it. I was I've been a business owner probably 4 times now, I think, maybe 5. Apparently I have a problem. And
True entrepreneur.
I don't
It's an
think,
addiction.
so yeah, I've had a couple failed businesses over the years, and I feel like you learn so much that's just painful, but it's a learning experience. I've worked for one of the largest home service companies in Texas called Milestone. I joined them about 11 years ago. They just added HVAC on, and I helped them build that to $35 million a year in revenue over 5 years. So I think the first year they did about 5 million, and then we built it up to 35. And then decided with the guys that own that company, we had 400 trucks on the road, 450.
Wow.
Between electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. And man, when you have that many guys rolling around in houses, we're stepping through ceilings, we're dropping tools on the floor. You got electricians cutting holes in walls to do rewires and just all that kind of stuff. And we could not find a high level customer service oriented handyman company in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. We tried them all. We tried the big guys. We tried the franchises. We tried the individuals. And there was just a lot to be lacking as far as, we prided ourselves on being the top in the industry, take care of our customers, show up on time, best warranties in the industry. And we just could not find that handyman. Started looking around on Google. I was like, man, these guys have like 80 reviews and a 4.5. That's the highest rated one in the Metroplex. I was like, I beat that in like 2 months. So, we decided to, my 2 partners were silent investors and myself, and we decided to start Hanks and never really looked back. So I have this warm cough, so I apologize in advance if I.
No worries.
We'll edit that out. Don't worry.
Ben, in the vast experience of starting all these companies, can you talk about some of the moments that jumped out at you that were kind of the turning point that made you decide to want to work for yourself? Was there ever like a challenge you're trying to overcome or something you were trying to do differently that made you want to start your own company?
That I ever wanted to start my own company. I just kept finding, opportunities. It was really, hey, this doesn't exist, or hey, I think I can do that better than these guys. The bar's so low, specifically with handyman. The 3 main trades, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, I would even say roofing. Those have been scaled all over the country. There's $100 million players. You got PE firms out there buying them up, scooping them up. But handyman is interesting. It has definitely not been scaled. I think people frown upon it and look down upon it. And honestly, I think if you took anybody from any other trade and told them to go start a handyman business, they would realize that it is substantially more difficult than the other trades. It is very difficult to scale handyman. And that being said, go ahead, Rob. Looks like you got it.
Well, why? Why is it so difficult?
So, with the skilled trades, you typically have some sort of certification, some third-party accreditation, a trade school. The scope of work is substantially limited, right? If you're an HVAC company, you're working on HVAC units, you have, maybe you have 80 to 100 repairs, and they're all fairly routine. You have different sizes, different parts and pieces, stuff like that. But with handyman, it's just, there's unlimited, there's an unlimited amount of different possibilities for even such, a driving repair, for example. Is it low? Is it high? What texture is it on? How thick is the drywall? Do you need scaffolding? Do you not need scaffolding? There's so many variables. And then I got to paint it. Is it flat paint? Is it this paint? Do I paint the whole wall? There's so many options. Directions you could possibly go. It's hard. And then the labor force the labor force is extremely difficult. The barrier to entry is really, really low. There's a lot, it's ruled by chucks and trucks who don't actually really understand how to operate a business, what their actual cost is. They treat it more like an employee. So, hey, if I was making 25 an hour, I can now charge 50 an hour. I'm going to be rich mindset. And you don't typically have too much of that in the skilled trades. You have a little bit of it, but the barrier to entry is, you have to have some kind of contractor's license, some kind of certification. And that may actually be worse in Texas because we're the Wild West. And Bob, it's obvious that you can't paint anything. Your hair's so gray, you don't even know how to use just for men.
Man, I'm writing that down for a roast soon.
Ding. Hey, Ben, congrats on being the first guest to actually get the flow and to give it back. We love that. That's great.
And it went right at Rob,
Nice.
too. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I usually wear a hat.
I just figured, but I like to make fun of people who actually have more hair than me. So
We're a target.
Yeah.
Well, I like the chucks and trucks. I've never heard that before, but I think it's interesting.
You haven't heard full trucks?
No. And I could almost argue with you about the difficulty of certain trades. So, my background is in plumbing.
Yeah.
And, they're not always licensed plumbers that are doing stuff, even though they're supposed to be. They're not always. It's got to work underneath them. That makes it unique.
Yeah. I learned.
They really are. Oh, yeah.
Plumbers hate handyman.
Yeah.
I did not
Never knew that.
Until I had a handyman company. Somebody's like, why did you go from HVAC to handyman? Isn't that like a step backwards? I think I was in with another guy, and he goes, why would you do that? I was like, I didn't know any better. I just saw an opportunity to grow in a new vertical. What the handyman does is always, I flipped some houses when I was younger. Everything a handyman does is my feet, and it's what I did to the house on the weekends. I liked fixing up my house. I like doing that. To me, that wasn't really work. That was my hobby, my interest. I like painting walls and doing tile, and it was fun. So it was just like, oh, well, this sounds fun. I know some stuff about it. I know home services. So I think, a lot of people are like, well, how on earth did you scale a handyman to doing $6 million a year, 25 trucks on the road? And, if you're a handyman and you're watching this, I would have to say that you're not just a handyman. You're a home service business owner. Your business operates the same way as all the other skilled trades. You have to know your cost. You have to have clean financials. You have to have a marketing plan. You have to have a scalable pricing structure, scalable pay systems. You have to have a CRM as a foundation to your business, and make Swivl, right? But you have to have a CRM as your foundation to build upon. And you guys are in the CRM market. I always tell people your CRM is one of the most important decisions that you make, because you build all your systems and processes around your CRM's abilities and your CRM's inabilities, whether that's reporting functions, job costing functions, price book option, presenting options. All that stuff is based around your CRM. So, the reason I was able to do what I do with Hanks is because I thought of it as an HVAC company. I didn't think of it as a handyman. So the same processes that all the other home service companies use with, in-home process and communication, branding, uniforms, all that stuff overlaps. It's no different than HVAC, electrical, plumbing. The only difference is the widget we sell and the task that we do. But if you can do plumbing, if you can wrap your mind around that, you can go a lot further.
I
well said.
totally agree. And I think, one of the kind of the reasons why, I saw something, I think you were commenting on some handyman trade group, and I thought it was interesting. It seems to me like the business that you're in now, after selling Hank's Handyman, is you're out there more to help out the little guy. Am I right in saying that? It seemed like we have a shared interest in that regard?
So, I exited my business in August. It's still, after I exited my business, my leadership team, nobody replaced me. So my management team that I had trained and left in place did about $3 million in revenue after I left without me, meaning that the stuff we built worked, right? So
Mhm. Absolutely.
where my passion was, and I had been in social media and in a lot of those groups. I didn't know tell which group you actually ran into me in,
Right.
but
I don't remember.
a lot of guys have been calling me for the past couple of years, and I really learned that my passion is helping guys, and it's not, can I help the $10 million a year business? Sure, but there are trade organizations around, two or three specifically that are pretty large. The barrier of entry into those is so high that a lot of these guys, even if they can afford to get into them, they can't afford to travel. They can't afford to be away from work, to attend all these conferences. And I have been a part of both of those trade organizations that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. And really, I think my passion was really helping the guys that are technicians that got into business ownership, thinking that, what the technician mindset is. I'm making my boss all this money. It's easy. I can go do it myself. And I really find that a lot of these guys, they get out there and then they just get slapped in the face and they're just like, oh no. I don't know what to do. This isn't working like I thought. I'm running around still as a technician trying to manage marketing and financials. I don't know anything about this stuff. So I really think the 1 to 5 man truck companies are really the guys who need help. And they need the
Struggle.
fundamentals, right? They need home services 101. They need, how do I build a pricing structure? How do I do scalable pay plans that have the correct incentives so that way, everybody wins, not just one person. So yeah, that's what I do. I started TradeWorks Consulting, and I work, I think I have about 30 clients right now that I work with bi-weekly, some of them weekly, and we walk through the whole system. It's about an 18-month process to cover everything that you could possibly need to hire. Some guys are, one truck, they like, hey, I don't know how to hire people. I don't know how to do this. Other guys are, hey, I already have 5 trucks and it's a chaotic mess. I can't sleep at night. Everything's crazy. I'm running around with like a firefighter all day. And yeah, so those are the common issues I run into, but I find I find it way more rewarding than going and fixing somebody's wall or something. That's
Hey,
I bet.
so Ben, you were talking about how the guys you work with, at least, they're starting their business, and then they're all of a sudden they're seeing, oh my God, there are costs to this, and there's unforeseen expectations. Did you have any when you jumped into your business? I know your background is a little more diverse and has a lot more depth, but I'm sure you had some expectations when you started Hanks, and were those expectations that you had, were they met? And were there any other hurdles that you just had, unforeseen hurdles that you didn't even know that you might see show up?
well, I started in August of 2019. So, what happened in, March of 2020, 21, we got COVID, uh, masks and gloves and labor shortages, and somebody sneezed, you can't work for 2 weeks, and labor shortages, fuel price shortages. There was one point in time I couldn't even buy any vehicles because there weren't any.
I remember it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would have to say, when at the onslaught of August of 2019, if I would have known what we were getting into over the next 3 years, I probably would have just waited, stuck with HVAC. Very, very difficult time to grow a business and make a business thrive. Now, if you took away all the factors with COVID and all that other kind of stuff, the labor market around Handyman, it's so bad. And that is the most difficult part, is just the skills for that. There's not a lot of high quality guys out there that are looking to be an employee that have the skills needed. So that did catch me off guard. And that really, we could have grown faster sooner. But at one point, I had 10 empty trucks. I couldn't fill them for $3. So,
How did you overcome that? And I know, I mean, just heavy recruiting. I mean, I
heavy recruiting. And then
how
we
for
learned that,
handyman? I mean, on plumbing, we could go look at Indeed or we spent tons of money and we got lots of garbage and maybe a few diamonds in the rough. For handyman, how do you do that?
yeah. So, I mean, we used typical fashions, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, all that other kind of stuff. And we were looking for people with specific backgrounds, carpentry and painting, drywall services were the guys that worked out the best. Recruiting wise, we found out the guys that didn't work out were the apartment maintenance guys. Those were never really good hires for us. The quality workmanship was usually poor because they were working in rental units typically, where the owners didn't necessarily care about the quality as much as the cost. The other people that didn't work out for us were typically the guys who yesterday owned their own handyman business and today they want to work for us. Usually it was they were slow and needed money, and then here in a month or so they quit. So that didn't work out very well either. Really, I think the biggest change was we are able to start hiring for personality, communication skills with some relative experience, and then start building a training lab, doing a lot more technical skills training. When I exited my business, we were in the process of building a training lab. So literally like a mock-up house in our warehouse where, we could do skills training, skills assessment and stuff like that. So we had this whole plan of, we have a whole section for drywall patches, whole section for painting, whole section for carpentry, interior, exterior door replacement. We had attic stairs there. We had a wall that we were going to build that had any and every type of wall ink. How does it work? You can see the back of the wall. And really just coming up with a skills training program, because our limiting capacity was the workforce, which all trades have been seeing that for numerous years. You have
Right.
lots of home service companies that are building their own trade schools because they can't find enough people. The schools don't do it anymore. So we were kind of going to go that route as well. It's like, all right, well, let's hire to personality. Let's hire great people and then give them the skills to do the work that we do.
So when you started, your training sessions, did you use that as a recruiting tool, and did that work?
Yeah. So, I exited the company and we were just still building the lab. So, obviously I still talk to people there. That's working out pretty well. It is a longer process, but typically the guys stay longer and we have better quality technicians.
I feel like it would give them a better sense of a roadmap and growth, learning curve. And then I guess there's other questions about your business. When you're doing this, you're big enough, and handyman, like you said, sometimes there'd be more. Some guys will do drywall. Did you look for kind of like the skills that were in the gaps that you didn't quite have, or did you subcontract out some of those things?
So we typically didn't subcontract out too much flooring stuff, wood floor, stuff like that. We ended up subcontracting, especially like hand scraped hardwoods and stuff like that. Most of the skills, in the beginning, it took us 2 years to find a good tile guy because all of our guys were W-2 employees, passing drug tests, background checks, all that other kind of stuff. Apparently, tile guys like cocaine. It took me 2 years to find somebody to get one.
Plumbers like meth.
They love math.
No, man, it took us 2 years to hire a good tile guy, and I was just like, I'm giving up. I guess we're just not going to be able to do any tile.
I love the things we learn on this podcast.
Yeah,
Were you having to push
they must make
jobs
a
back?
lot of money if
I would tell you the thing that I learned. I learned that the construction industry, handyman, remodel. If you're inviting people into your home, you should be scared because I have seen them. I've interviewed hundreds of these folks. I've seen background checks, drug tests. I would say 75% of the independent contractors doing remodeling, stuff like that,
A record.
have a record, a substance abuse issue, or not have legal status to even be employed, have no insurance, or have no licensing that's required by the state. 75%.
Wow.
I think if most consumers knew that. Company think that like we should do all this stuff. Yes, there is a cost associated with that, but you're inviting these people into your home. You're giving them tens of thousands of dollars, and you're hoping that they're going to show up, do a good job, and not take your money. And I remember having multiple conversations going, I honestly didn't realize it was this bad. I mean, it's so hard to find somebody who can pass a drug test, doesn't have a criminal record, and has a driver's license, and doesn't have a substance abuse issue. I mean, it was 80% of the people I could hire just for those 5 reasons right there.
I tell you, my experience hiring people was such that they would come in, we would have a quick conversation, we'd give them a little cup to go pee in, and I'm not kidding. At least 25% would just take that cup and walk out the door. They would just leave. They couldn't do it. Another 25% would come back and it would be like cold, cold and clear, or it would go through and just like glow when the sticks went into it. So it was incredible. So
Yeah.
that similar, that's tough.
Yeah, so I think that's the biggest challenge. Obviously, the one part that I did get right is there was a gaping hole in the market for high quality, customer oriented. Really, people are like, what made you and your business stand out above everybody else? And I tell people, good old fashioned customer service. Answer the phone. Answer the phone.
Answer the phone. Just answer it.
Show up on time. If you're going to be late, call. Give upfront pricing. Ask for just the basics. So, it's like make a list of all the things people hate about working with Handyman, and then just create systems, processes, and implement them so you just don't do those things. And you're going to be better than 90% of the Handyman businesses out there, right? Part of my training program with these Handyman is literally like the first assignment on our first session. It is literally to do a market analysis, call 10 Handyman, some independent, some franchise. How many of them actually answer their phone and call you back? So 7 out of 10 don't even answer their phone in most cases. And out of that, maybe 3 out of the 7 will actually call you back.
Amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I mean, I think like earlier in the conversation when you said I didn't necessarily want to be in my own business, I wanted to say it for you, opportunities, because I see the exact same thing. I mean, all it takes is a little bit of organization, a little bit of guardrails, and a little bit of operational systems to create these businesses and drive forward. I mean, you're right. Answer the phone. That's like number one. Tough to do, I guess.
Nobody does.
Showing up on time. Nuts.
I was in a Facebook group for Handyman. I couldn't even tell you what it was. They all look the same after some point in time. But I was in one and somebody like, hey, I'm on LSA. This doesn't work. And I'm just like, how often do you answer your phone? And they're like, well, I don't have anybody answer the phone. I usually call people back. I'm like, LSA will downgrade your account. You didn't answer your phone. Well, what do I do about that? It's like, I have no idea what you do about that. Good luck dealing with Google.
Answer the phone. How about that?
You have
It's
simple. Money on marketing. You have to answer the phone every time. I had another guy like, well, what if it's spam? I was like, you answer the phone. You're paying for ads. You have to answer the phone. Get the spam off the phone quick, but you can't be paying for advertisement and not answering the phone. I mean, I think Hank spent $750,000 last year on advertising, primarily on digital. And I have people answer the phone. You have to answer the phone.
So, Ben, so typically we would, talk about your current state, but obviously Hanks doesn't have a current state right now, but your consulting business. So can you talk a little bit about that? I guess we don't even need to get into revenues or if you're doing technology, you're just working with customers and helping them get off the ground.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah. So I have a 18-month a framework or program here, and it's biweekly, and it's ideally working with guys who are, wanting to add trucks, really wanting to set in some infrastructure, some basic, accounting, pricing, marketing, systems and processes, and establishing a solid foundation which you can build your home services on top of. Without those key systems, it's really, really difficult, if not impossible, to scale your business, even past 3 trucks. Brian Gottlieb, I don't know if you heard of him. He has a book out called, something with the hammer. I don't remember what it is. We have to look it up. But he told me on the phone, I've had multiple conversations with him. He's like, don't scale chaos, right? And my goal is to help guys create a routine in their business. Like
Beyond the hammer.
beyond the hammer. That is it. Brian Gottlieb just sold his business for $100 million, and he did siding, bathroom remodeling, all that kind of stuff. Super awesome guy. But yeah, he always told me, don't scale chaos. So that's what I try to do. I try to make it where, hey, your home service company is like getting out of bed. We all have our morning routine. We don't think about it. We don't get upset about it. We get up, we hit the bathroom, we brush our teeth, we get dressed, we fix our hair if we have any, and we roll out the door, and we get in the car, we make our commute. We don't even think about our commute. We know which way we're going to go. Half of us don't even remember our commute because it's the same thing every day. So we try to establish that with my clients is like, hey, your business, your pricing structure, your systems, it's all such a routine now. You don't even realize that you created, all these different things. So people will ask me, what are the top 3 things that I can do to do what you did? I'm like, number 1, realize it's 300 small things. It's not 3 things.
Not the one.
It's hundreds of small baby steps, right? Answer your phone. Have a scripted conversation. Be able to overcome objections on the phone. Have a script for that. It's hundreds of little things that all connect to a routine and to a system that you can actually scale on top.
Then how have you seen, you mentioned earlier the CRM and the importance of that, which we emphatically agree with. But how have you seen technology make an impact on handyman or home service businesses? Are there any other platforms that you've come across that you took a liking to?
I do like Service Titan, but I do not think Service Titan is for the smaller guys, and neither does Service Titan. It is complex to build. It's very difficult to navigate. I think the most successful people with Service Titan spend hundreds of thousands of dollars hiring a third-party company to build it out for them. Now, I know you guys have Swivl. I haven't seen that. But, I do think AI and technology is really coming a long ways. A few things that I've really seen that I think are just amazing is job description. So I have seen it in a couple of platforms where you type a description like replace a toilet, and then you hit this AI button and it just comes up with this amazing description in like 2 seconds. That I'm just like, well, because, typically your field tech guy, he wants to type 4 words with a $2,000 price tag. And you're like, dude, you can't type 4 words as a description with a $2,000 price point. You really need to put an in-depth, detailed description in there. The other thing that I see, obviously I've seen some AI book called like a CRM or CRS, what I'm trying to say.
A receptionist.
Yeah, like a receptionist. With AI, and you pre-program it to, here's my 50 questions, and they can actually book that on your server, your calendar. So I've seen some of that here in the past month. I thought was pretty interesting. I think there's some amazing technologies coming up that are really going to revolutionize the home services industry. And some of them are just simple, like having that AI description box. So simple. But you know how many guys hate typing out the description?
It's going to really help the little guys who just
Yeah.
don't have time to even think.
And
I found most of them
aren't as in depth as they should be. The AI really, I had one write a description on assembling a product for a customer. And instead of assemble customer supplied desk, it was literally unpack it, stage it, and follow manufacturer recommendations for assembly, test it, secure it to the wall, blah, 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 blah. It's like, there really are 15 steps just to assemble something, if you think about it, but nobody types that. It takes too long. And this did it in like 1 second.
2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, that's amazing.
I always told the people that were doing the invoices that they needed to justify the time, and it was about the narrative. So if a guy wrote an invoice and said, "Me fixed pipe," that doesn't work well when you're charging thousands of dollars, like you were suggesting. So we didn't even let the guys in the field write the invoices. We had brought it back to the shop and then email them out after someone wrote a little more of a narrative.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're 1,000% right. Some of the AI applications that Swivl is developing as well is right along those lines, and it's incredible. It is incredible what that
It's
kind
exciting.
of
Yeah,
help
no,
that it'll.
I think it's really great. It's really useful. It kind of picks up, we're guys and sometimes we're lazy and we just, especially as, blue collar guys, sometimes we just want to work with our hands. We're not good with the wordy stuff sometimes. Right. And AI, I think, going to pick up where, maybe some of our weak spots might be is just dudes, right? We don't want to write that description. We don't want to do this, but AI is picking up for us and we're like, oh, that's wonderful. I love it. So
And put it in a syntax or a way where people can actually understand it, and it looks professional. That's the big part.
Typos and
It'll never be able to replace a pipe, but it can, change
That's
your
right.
verbiage and make you look better. For
Yeah,
sure.
I
Hey
mean,
Ben,
yes, go ahead, Rob.
all right. So just a future state. So obviously, so you exited a $6 million revenue business, which means you probably don't need to be doing what you're doing, consulting these smaller companies. But so, what are your goals then? Is it simply just to help them out one at a time? Is it to build TradeWorks into something that you could then sell later on? What is Ben's exit strategy for that?
Yeah, so I mean, my vision here with TradeWorks is to continue to be able to add and grow with adding on other coaches and building out different other products that I'm going to be able to provide to home service companies. So, I've worked with some plumbing, electrical, HVAC companies, handyman companies, attic insulation companies. So I work with pest companies that want to start getting into removing and adding attic insulation. I got a plumbing and electrical company that is rolling out HVAC right now. So I've built out their whole entire tune-up structure, their pricing, their pay structures, all of their training documents and everything else. So, there's a wide variety of services at TradeWorks we can do. We're currently, helping people build out their CRMs. We're going to have an all-in-one package where like, hey, it's a done-for-you home service company, where if you want to get in a handyman for whatever this price is, we're going to take care of the phone integration, the CRM, the build out, the price books, and we're going to, I got 44 document templates that you're going to need for recruiting, how to do an interview, and, here's a chart of accounts, how to set up your chart of accounts, all that kind of stuff. So as far as long-term, I don't know. I'm 3 months into this. I am completely booked. I can't add any more people to my personal calendar. So probably in the next 3 to 5 months, I'm gonna be adding another coach or something to my team. The demand is great. There's a lot of guys out there who need help. These guys are getting pretty good results. I've got a couple of handyman companies that have grown, 5 and 10 times over, a 24-month period. So they're having great results. I've got 3 handyman guys that are going to do $1.5 million to $2 million this year. And those were the guys that I was just helping on the phone while I had my handyman business. So those aren't even the ones, they didn't receive the documents. They didn't receive any of the fancy training that I'm providing now. So those guys got those kind of results and just a phone call stuck in traffic. So I'm expecting to see great things now out of these guys who are getting a lot more one-on-one time.
I hope they weren't in your same market, right? You're not helping out your competition.
I don't really care if they were in my same market.
It's big enough.
Yeah, it's big enough. There's 6 million people here. All they do is drive up the price point. They make everybody else kind of push up their level of service. So I've never cared if people in my same market. I always found it was good to have people in your same market, in your same industry. You know what's working, what's not working. There's plenty of work for everybody, and people do not badmouth each other when I know that guy, and I know that guy, and he's a great guy. So,
And what's your price book on your consulting services? How do you structure that, or is...
Yeah, so I mean, I do have a price point that's based on kind of a monthly cost, starting about $1,200 a month, and then going up from there. I think that premium package is going to be somewhere around $35,000. Essentially, that's going to be like, hey, I want to buy a franchise. I want everything built. I want everything ready to go. I got price book, pay plans, everything. Except, it's a one-time fee. We put everything together. We spend some time training you on everything we built, how to use it, all that other stuff. And you don't have the royalties. You don't have the equity stake in any of that stuff after the fact.
I'm going to keep an eye on this because this has been a really enlightening and enjoyable conversation. I like what I've heard. You have a great story, and the story of your journey building Hank's Handyman and TradeWorks is just cool. So you shared a lot of insights, but before we wrap things up, is there anything that you would like to share with listeners and viewers specific to those budding entrepreneurs that might be, potentially coached by you?
Yeah. Hey, find somebody who is where you want to be. Don't do it by yourself. Okay. Find somebody. Yes, they might cost money, but the money that they charge you should be offset by ROI pretty quick if it's the right person. Okay. But don't do it by yourself. There's no home services has been done across this country for so long. There's no point in reinventing the wheel. Typically reinventing the wheel, trying to figure it out on your own is probably 20 times more expensive than partnering up with somebody who can teach you how to do it the right way the first time. The pitfalls to avoid, what works and what doesn't work. And I'm saying this as a guy who probably, lost $1 million in lessons. So take my advice from somebody who didn't take my advice myself.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Ben. So thanks so much for sharing your journey and insights. And we really appreciate the time you took today to speak with us. So your story undoubtedly is going to resonate with a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs that inspire them to do the same kind of thing and probably call you too.
It's under construction. It's extremely ugly, but my email, ben@thetradeworks.com. If they want to reach out, that's probably the best way to do it.
Well, what we'll do too is we're gonna put a little billboard up right here.
Yeah, give you a nice little plug.
So for any people watching or listening, you're in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area. Actually, throughout the continental U.S., I would assume, right? Like you probably could work with anyone across the country. Reach out to Ben, and you're going to find your contact information right here. And
put your finger up, Ben.
You'll be putting your faith into someone who knows what they're doing and has a proven track record of building a handyman business and worth a lot.
It's fun.
Yeah. All right. So Ben, thanks again for being with us here on Swivl Sessions.
Thank you.
That's a wrap, Tyson.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening or watching. Swivl's field service software is everything you need to run your field service business for free. Till next time, check us out at Swivl.tech. That's SWIVL.tech.